Whatever.
Exos was in chaos even in the coldest and most dreadful of the lands in Northbound Frosty. King Shifrakan gathered all his soldiers again after his defeat by Sia Khan and inspires them like the great king he is for his soldiers to not give up and that he promises only victory for him and his people from now on. He orders Brooks and Valentina to gather his troops and to prepare to leave for battle for the greatest war in the history of the Exos continent. Valentina stops Shifrakan to inquire what he would have Range do, and questions if Shifrakan is to leave out his son from the battle once again. Shifrakan tells Valentina that Range is too weak, and that the only use he will have is to hold down the castle or the fort. As Valentina reluctantly agrees and leaves, Shifrakan speaks to himself, saying that Valentina is still too weak to let her blood ties affect her, to which Brooks replies that compassion would be necessary for a great leader after all the chaos that is to happen, to which Shifrakan agrees that he will have to create the hordes of wars to let his daughter become even more valued in the eyes of the people as leader. Back at the fort, Range is battered by Sia to make his escape. Range lets Sia know that his role was to stay and protect the castle and tells Sia to go on without him. Sia continues to badger Range to go, that he would die in the castle as it crumbles with the earthquake, and that he must get on an airship. Range sadly tells Sia that his father Shifrakan will most likely tell him to go die rather than run away from his duty, but is then attacked by a corrupted reverend. Range does his best to protect Sia, but alas he is too weak against this powerful beast. As the fight goes on, Range hears a terrible roar in the distance and realizes that there is a bigger danger approaching. Distracted and weak, Range is about to be taken down by the Reverend when Valentina comes to his rescue. Valentina swiftly kills the corrupted Reverend, questioning Range as to why he is so weak and being defeated by a single monster. She tells him to follow her and that he must leave this area. Range truthfully tells Valentina that Shifrakan will not have him leave the castle, to which Valentina tells him to forget about that Shifrakan has abandoned Northbound Frosty and it was time to leave. Sia is suspicious and questions Valentina what her real intentions are, that Shifrakan and Valentina never took care of Range as family. That's when Range notices that Valentina was severely wounded. Range quickly helps close up the wound, in which Valentina tells Range that Shifrakan probably was overprotective of him because he took after his mother so much, and as if Range still has no goal of his own. Range tells Valentina that she is still his family, and that he in the end was a traitor. Sia jumps in to defend Range, but Valentina cuts them off, saying that it was time to go before Shifrakan abandons them all. Back in the city of Northbound Frosty, Guttler and Astarte from the Dark Souls were fighting off the corrupted monsters. Astarte with her wild instinct senses something was off. Topaki from the Dark Souls had already gone in deeper into the city, and Guttler tells Astarte that he was going to go save the remaining Dark Souls that were remaining. At that moment, Brooks arrives and tells Guttler and Astarte to get on the airship and that the airship will soon bomb Northbound Frosty to get rid of the monsters. Guttler asks Brooks, the leader of the Dark Souls, if he were to abandon the rest of his group there, to which Brooks replies that it was a necessary sacrifice to make for the greater battle that they must partake. The group becomes grim as the realities of war is hard to accept, that they must abandon their friends and their tribe, but hope shines as Astarte smells that their people were getting closer. Brooks then prompts them to go and save them before it's too late. The people Astarte smell was Topaki, Valentina, Range, and Sia. Valentina was letting Range know that Shifrakan's plan was not to bomb the city but to abandon it, saving resources for the greater war that he was instigating. Range and Sia are shocked that they will leave the people behind, but Valentina strongly says that history cannot be written without sacrifices, and that giving up now will be a greater dishonor to the people who had already died and will die. Range then asks if that was the case, why Valentina had come to save him. Valentina tells Range to not mention that to their father, and that Range is, as he said so himself, family to her. Topaki chimes in, saying to keep it simple. He says, kill the enemy, beat down those who oppose us, fight with friends, protect your family. At that moment, Brooks and his people arrive and lets everyone know that they must get on the airship now. Sia questions what is actually happening, to which Valentina reveals that a dragon has appeared to attack the nation and that they were to retreat as they cannot defeat the dragon. Back on the airship, Karina reports to Shifrakin that only 30% of the airships remain in service, the others destroyed. Shifrakin asks Karina of her opinion of what was happening. Karina states that it was most likely the work of the Dragon Watchers with their ability to control dragons. Shifrakin agrees and states that they cannot defeat Sia Khan if he has the weapon that they used against him in the previous battle. Karina notes to bombard them as useless due to the distance and the dragons, but Shifrakin has a plan that will require large sacrifices that will lead them to victory. Valentina states they cannot give up now as that will make all their efforts in vain. Shifrakin states that his plan is to keep his promise to his people and that he will bring them victory and that he does not condone unnecessary sacrifices. Valentina takes that to mean that Shifrakin will require necessary sacrifices in the end. Shifrakin calls Brooks and Valentina over to brief them on his plan, and Valentina tells Reim to get some rest. In the meeting room, Shifrakin reveals his plan to Valentina and Brooks. Shifrakin states that they cannot defeat Sia Khan directly with the dragons. His plan was then to distract the beast to go after Sia Khan while the dragons were distracted. Shifrakin will leave the Dragon Watchers and the ones guarding Sia Khan to Valentina and the Dark Souls, while Shifrakin himself will face Sia Khan himself. Valentina then asks who will be the one to distract the dragons, to which Shifrakin says Range will be the perfect bait, as the King's Guard with an acquaintance of Sia Khan to do so. Valentina opposes, saying that Range will surely die, and that Range is not like Maher who had betrayed them. Shifrakin says that Valentina must be more like him and to stay strong. Shifrakin then orders them to mobilize their attack to Exos Republic, as it was told that Sia Khan was in Marinos Island. As Sia Khan was the King's Guard for Exos Republic, Sia Khan would not be able to ignore their attacks there. Unfortunately, right at that moment, the dragon comes to attack the airship, apparently after Shifrakin himself. Sia comes in crying for help for Range. Valentina goes in trying to help, but is stopped by Shifrakin telling her to get her priorities straight, that their plans depends on Valentina and Shifrakin's survival, and to try to go save Range, who was merely a bait, will now be worthless. Valentina is then left with the choice to protect Range as her little brother, or to stand back and ask if there was really no other way. Next time, we'll explore what happens based on our Princess Valentina's decision for her family or for her country. Join me next time to see what happens on Exos Heroes. And if you like random gaming content, especially all mobile gacha games, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I post every weekend. Thank you all so much for watching, stay safe, and take care.